Have you ever pondered how we are able to move, lift, and maintain posture? The answer lies in the intricate workings of our muscular system. This marvel of biological engineering is a symphony of cells and tissues working in harmony to allow us to interact with the world around us. It's a system that's integral to everything we do, from the beating of our hearts to the blink of an eye. And yet it's a subject that's often overlooked. Today, we're going to change that. We'll delve into the anatomy and physiology of two types of muscles, skeletal and smooth. We'll explore the fascinating process of neurotransmission and understand the mechanics of muscle tone. By the end of this journey, you'll have gained a deeper appreciation for these extraordinary powerhouses that enable us to live, move, and breathe. With over 600 muscles in our body, the muscular system is more complex and fascinating than you may realize. The human body houses two distinct types of muscles, skeletal and smooth. But what makes these muscle types unique? Let's dive into the world of muscles to discover what makes them so special. First off, skeletal muscles. These are the muscles that you can see and feel. They are attached to your bones, allowing for all your voluntary movements. They get their name from their appearance under a microscope, striated or striped. These stripes are due to the arrangement of protein fibers that enable contraction. Each skeletal muscle is a complex structure comprising many muscle fibers, bundled together and wrapped in connective tissue. These fibers are long and cylindrical, containing several nuclei. Within these fibers, you'll find myofibrils, the contractile units of the muscle. They contain two types of protein filaments, actin and myosin. When these filaments slide past one another, they cause the muscle to contract, enabling us to move. Now, let's turn our attention to smooth muscles. Unlike their skeletal counterparts, these muscles are not under our conscious control. They're found in places like our digestive system, blood vessels, and the uterus, where they perform involuntary movements, such as propelling food through our digestive tract or contracting blood vessels. Smooth muscles are called so because they lack the striations seen in skeletal muscles. They're composed of small, spindle-shaped cells, each with a single nucleus. Like skeletal muscles, they also contain actin and myosin proteins. But their arrangement differs, resulting in a smooth, non-striated appearance. The contraction of smooth muscles is slow and sustained, allowing for continuous movements, like the rhythmic contraction of our intestines. The way they contract and relax is controlled by the autonomic nervous system, which functions without our conscious thought. Whether you're lifting weights or digesting food, these two muscle types work tirelessly to keep your body functioning. Each muscle type, with its unique structure and function, is perfectly adapted to its role, making the human body a marvel of biological engineering. The communication between your brain and muscles is a crucial aspect of movement. But how does this communication occur? Let's delve into the fascinating world of neurotransmission. Neurotransmission, in essence, is the process of nerve impulses traveling from the brain, coursing through an intricate network of neurons, eventually reaching the muscle fibers. It's a beautifully orchestrated biological symphony that keeps our bodies moving and functioning. The process begins in the brain, where an electrical signal is generated. This signal, or nerve impulse, travels down a neuron's axon like a wave. Picture it as a surfer riding the swell of the sea, moving swiftly towards the shore, where the shore in our case is the synapse. The synapse is the minute gap between neurons, or between a neuron and a muscle cell. It's the point where the electrical signal needs to become a chemical one. This is where neurotransmitters come into play. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that transmit signals across the synapse from one neuron to the next. They're like the ferryman in a river, carrying passengers from one bank to the other. When the nerve impulse reaches the synapse, it triggers the release of these neurotransmitters. They cross the synapse and bind to specific receptors on the next neuron or on the muscle cell. This binding triggers a response in the receiving cell, converting the chemical signal back into an electrical one, allowing the impulse to continue on its journey. If the receiving cell is a muscle fiber, the result is a contraction, a movement. It's a process that happens at lightning speed, billions of times a day, without us even realizing it. It's the reason we can blink, breathe, walk, talk, and perform all our voluntary and involuntary actions. Neurotransmission in all its complexity is the silent maestro conducting the concert of our bodily functions, a marvel of nature's design. Without neurotransmission, your brain's commands would never reach your muscles. So the next time you move a muscle, remember the wonder of neurotransmission that makes it all possible. Upon receiving a signal from the brain, how do our muscles respond? Well, let's delve into the fascinating world of muscle excitation and contraction. The process begins with the brain, which sends an electrical signal via motor neurons. This signal travels down the neuron until it reaches the neuromuscular junction, the point where the nerve and muscle meet. At this junction, the electrical signal triggers the release of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. This acetylcholine binds to receptors on the muscle cell membrane, opening channels that allow sodium ions to flood in. This influx of sodium creates an electrical signal within the muscle cell, known as an action potential. This action potential races down the muscle cell, penetrating deep into its interior through a network of channels called T-tubules. Here's where calcium enters the scene. The action potential triggers the release of calcium ions stored within the muscle cell. These calcium ions bind to a protein called troponin, causing it to shift and reveal binding sites on another protein, actin. This allows myosin, a motor protein, to bind to actin and pull, causing the muscle to contract. Now, how does this process differ between skeletal and smooth muscles? In skeletal muscles, the process is as described. Calcium ions bind to troponin, allowing myosin to bind to actin and pull. However, smooth muscles, like those found in your intestines and blood vessels, work a bit differently. Here, calcium ions bind to a protein called calmodulin, not troponin. This calcium-calmodulin complex then activates an enzyme called myosin light chain kinase, which phosphorylates myosin, allowing it to bind to actin and pull. So, whether it's the skeletal muscles powering your morning jog or the smooth muscles propelling food through your digestive tract, the principle is the same. An electrical signal triggers the release of calcium ions, leading to muscle contraction. But remember, this is a simplified version of a complex process that involves many more players and steps. Yet, it's this intricate dance of ions and proteins that enables us to move and live. From a simple blink to a vigorous run, every movement relies on muscle excitation and contraction. Muscles are powerhouses, but where does this energy come from? Well, let's delve into the fascinating world of energy metabolism. As you may know, muscles need energy to contract, and this energy is in the form of adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Our muscles store a small amount of ATP, but when we exercise or even move, the demand for ATP increases. So how do our muscles generate more ATP? This is where glucose comes into play. Glucose, the sugar that circulates in your blood, is the primary source of energy for your muscles. Through a process called glycolysis, glucose is broken down into 2 molecules of pyruvate. This process also generates a net gain of 2 ATP molecules, but we're not done yet. Pyruvate then enters the mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells, where it undergoes the citric acid cycle, also known as the Krebs cycle. During this cycle, more ATP is generated and carbon dioxide is produced as a waste product. Electrons are also transferred to an electron transport chain, where even more ATP is produced. This entire process from glucose to ATP is what we call cellular respiration. It's fascinating to think that all this is happening right now in your muscles, every second of every day. This intricate energy metabolism process is what fuels every muscle contraction, from lifting a heavy weight to simply blinking your eyes. Every muscle contraction is fueled by this intricate energy metabolism process. Even when you're not actively moving, your muscles are not completely relaxed. But why is that, you might wonder? The answer lies in the remarkable phenomenon known as muscle tone. Muscle tone, or tonus, is the constant, passive, and involuntary state of partial contraction in your muscles. Even when you're at rest, some of your muscle fibers are firing off. They're not doing it all at once, but rather in a staggered sequence. This is what gives your muscles their firmness and resistance to passive stretch when you're not using them. And why is this important? Muscle tone plays a crucial role in maintaining our posture. Whether you're standing upright, sitting at your desk, or even just lying down, your muscles are working subtly in the background, holding you in place and keeping you balanced. But muscle tone isn't just about keeping you upright, it's also about readiness for action. Your muscles are like coiled springs, always ready to leap into action the moment you decide to move. This readiness is thanks to the continuous state of partial contraction that muscle tone provides. In a nutshell, muscle tone is a perfect example of your body's incredible ability to prepare for and respond to the demands of the world around you. It's a silent yet powerful force that keeps you upright and ready to respond at a moment's notice. Your muscles are always ready to spring into action thanks to muscle tone. The muscular system is a marvel of nature, enabling us to move, maintain posture, and perform countless other tasks. As we draw to a close, let's swiftly recap the fascinating journey that we've embarked on today. We first delved into the anatomy and physiology of skeletal and smooth muscles, revealing the intricate structures that allow us to move and function. We then explored the world of neurotransmission, the process through which signals are sent to our muscles, instigating movement. We examined muscle excitation and contraction, a remarkable process that transforms nerve signals into physical action. We also touched upon energy metabolism, the system that fuels our muscles and keeps them working efficiently. Lastly, we discussed muscle tone, a crucial factor in maintaining posture and balance. So next time you lift a weight, take a step, or even blink, take a moment to appreciate the complexity and wonder of your muscular system. Subscribe for more.